Hello everybody, back once again with another video. So I said yesterday I uploaded the review of Mute Witness, maybe the day before. Anyway, I did say I'd do a video of some underrated, unknown kind of films, maybe ones people won't know. So I do enjoy talking about these, but I thought it might give some people out there some recommendations of films they haven't heard of or have heard of and didn't really know much about. So I'll try not to ramble on too long, but I'll give a plot synopsis and what I think of these films. Before I do that, I've just got a few I've just literally picked up in HMV. So I will do an update video in a month or so. I've got quite a few already that I haven't shown since the last one, but I'll watch these and open them and then talk about them more. But yeah, I've got this Bruiser by George A. Romero. Never actually heard that he'd done that before. Not sure what that's like, but quite a good price, I thought, for a limited edition. So I've got number 791 out of 2000. But yeah, I sort of picked it up expecting it to be like 30 or 40. Wasn't sure whether I'd get it, but thought it's worth it for that price. And I got this Civil War by Alex Garland, who also does Men and Ex Machina. Heard good things about that. Heard really good things about this Abigail. It's quite a new one. A lot of people saying it's one of the best sort of vampire. I don't think that's a spoiler, but like a vampire film. I'll probably watch that one tonight, actually. And then this one, Bittersweet Life, Second Sight. I don't buy every single Second Sight release. It's not that I get FOMO so much. I think I better buy it, even if it's a film I don't know or don't like. But I do own this one. I think I've got an old video years ago showing off my Tartan Asia Extreme Cinema collection, which are all Asian films, obviously, sort of mostly Hong Kong, Korea, Japan, few China, maybe a few yeah, I think there might be a Vietnamese one or something in there. It says extreme, but some are comedies, some are drama, a lot of horrors. You've got the likely suspects like The Ring, and then you've got some more sort of slept on ones like Marabito, and then yeah, this is one of the better ones, A Bittersweet Life. That was quite expensive at 40. I think it's about 25 or so for the 4K, so for the box and the extra book and postcards and stuff. I thought it was worth it. Anyway, let me get back on with the video in hand. So, The Reflecting Skin, film by Philip Ridley. So this is bizarre in a good way. I mean, I like sort of I wouldn't even say it's surreal, but it's weird. Some of the cinematography is amazing. The like when it shows the yellow fields with the sort of bright flaming sun. Some of the dialogue. It's a bit when the boy Seth Dove, I think he's called, is asking his dad about vampires, and he's basically saying vampires bite people on the neck and drink their blood. They're not very sociable. A lot of it's sort of spoilers, so I won't go into it. But yeah, it's quite a disturbing film. But yeah, I would recommend that. Oh yeah, so it's got Aragorn, I always call him. Let me think of his name. Viggo Mortensen. It's got a few people I don't know. It's a lot of allegory and sort of like religious, and most of the characters have got names from the Bible. I'm not really into religious stuff. I'm like an atheist, but yeah, it's got a lot of sort of subtext and stuff to pick up on. But yeah, I would really recommend that. Never heard of that at all until a little while ago. I was watching a video of sort of bizarre films. What's the guy's name? I can't think of it at the moment. But he sort of recommended that, and I'd never heard of it. I got on DVD a while ago, but it was the Region One import, and it wasn't really working on my player. So yeah, I managed to get the Blu-ray of that. But yeah, if you're into sort of weird, I say it's like David Lynch crossed with Bernard Rose kind of style. This one I spoke about the other day on my double features one. Hush, but yeah, I think that's underrated. Really tense sort of chase film. It's more of a thriller, I guess, than a horror. British film. Toy Soldiers. So this is on the 101 label. I heard good things about this before I got it. Never seen it as a kid. Always probably a bit more nostalgic. But as you can see, not really heard of Lewis Gossett Jr., but it's got Sean Astin. But yeah, the premise of that is there's a bunch of naughty boys at their, what do you call it? They're like campus. I think it's like a college or a university rather than a school. I think they're a bit older. But basically, they do tricks and traps, and they're kind of the naughty boys. And then this isn't a spoiler; it tells you this on the back. But like a terrorist organization take over the campus, and they've got people hostage. And if they've got the place surrounded, so when the police try and come up the main drive, they've got snipers ready, so no one can free them. And then the dean, I guess you call him, like the headmaster, we'd say in England, but the dean of the campus basically rallies up these boys and says, you've practiced for years pranking people and setting traps. Now's your chance, kind of thing. And then they have to fight off the terrorists. Yeah, really good film. Quite an underrated one, I think. This one I have spoke about before in the Arrow collection, but yeah, Audrey Rose with quite a young Anthony Hopkins. So I thought it was going to be a possession movie. This isn't a spoiler again; it tells you on the back. But basically, and I can't remember the name of the guy, the mum and dad of the girl. But basically, Anthony Hopkins comes out of the woodwork saying he knows her and it's his daughter, and he's got a connection with her, and he thinks he's known her in a past life, and she's sort of been reborn. But yeah, it's real sort of interesting thriller, quite tense, really well shot, good music, and you kind of don't know where it's going. And then this one, Vince Vaughn, Brawl in Cell Block 99. So it's a prison film, but with a lot of fighting. Fight choreography is really good. Vince Vaughn is actually genuinely quite intimidating, and you do believe he could sort of, fight and hurt people. Whereas when you go back to some of his comedies, like The Wedding Singer, you wouldn't know he'd go on to this. But it's directed by see if I can see the name, Craig Zahler, which I think did Dragged Across Concrete and Bone Tomahawk. So yeah, quite a brutal film. Not a horror, more of a drama. A lot of these are horrors. It's not that I sort of singled them out. I watch all kinds of genres of films, but horror is one I go to a lot. Thriller, sci-fi. Don't really watch rom-coms. Obviously watch classics. Don't really like musicals. But yeah, so anyway, getting back on. Banshee chapter. So this has got Ted Levine. He's not got a massive role in it, but he is really good in it. Basically, I don't know if anyone's heard of MK Ultra, but basically the government invented, in this story at least, the government invented a mind control drug, like a psychedelic, and they'd give it to people in large doses and then shut them in a dark room and see what happens. And then some recreational drug users have heard about Ted Levine's character being like, I think he's a bit like, what's the guy's name out of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas that wrote the story? He's known for Hunter S. Thompson, just taking copious amounts of drugs and breaking his own mind. They sort of hear he's like that kind of figure, so they want to sort of go and do these untested research chemicals. And then obviously being a horror film, this isn't a spoiler, it does tell you this on the back as well, but basically weird figures are coming out the dark and being seen in the corner eye. I say, yeah, it's kind of like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas crossed with Jacob's Ladder. I was going to put Jacob's Ladder in it, but I don't think it's really unknown anymore. Excision, bit more of a brutal one. I think I had this in my list I did a year ago or so of most disturbing films I've seen. So yeah, it's got some the whole film is basically like a dream, a bit like a David Lynch, but really colourful, really good acting by this main woman. See, Annalyn McCord. I think she was at Beverly Hills 90210. Yeah, I mean, if you're not into sort of real gory, sort of disturbing, what's the word? It's kind of got a sexual nature to it, but yeah, it's quite a powerful film. In the ending, I'm not going to go into it, but it will haunt you a bit. Yeah, really good, that one. This one's an Australian film, so I think I had this one in my list of disturbing films as well. So Xavier Samuel, I think he was out of what's that vampire thing from back in the day, Twilight. I think he was in that, but he is good in this. But again, this isn't a spoiler, it tells you on the back, but basically this weird girl from school and her dad, sort of creepy characters, and she starts obsessing with him and wants him to go to the prom. She asks him, and he says no, he's going with someone else. So, without going into it too much, sort of spirals out. Her feelings are hurt, and she's a psycho, so spirals out of control from there. But yeah, well made. Not as linear as you'd think. There's like bits when he's out, sort of climbing cliffs and doing other things, sort of in the lead up. So it's got quite a lot of character development, and yeah, a few sort of scenes in this which are pretty haunting. Another sort of, I'd say this is a dark comedy. Mum and Dad, it's a British film. I really enjoyed this. I mean, it is disturbing, but my mate, he liked it, but he said it gave him nightmares. And at the time, he didn't sort of seem too bad, but after, he just couldn't stop thinking about it, he was saying. But yeah, I'd say it's a dark comedy, but obviously quite gory and brutal, and sort of harder to go into that one without sort of spoiling it. But then we've got Chiller. So I think a lot of the people I sort of talk to on here, like Sam and Stuart and George and that, are British, so they might remember this. maybe depending on their age. But this was on the TV. Let's see if it tells you what year. I'm looking at it a bit too close there. Can't see at the moment, but basically, I must have been about 10 or so years old. It came on the TV, and it's like an anthology, but rather than being like a wraparound story like VHS or Body Bags or what's that, Dead Tales or something, it's sort of 5 separate episodes. So all the episodes are pretty good, but got one with Martin Clunes, which you wouldn't expect from Men Behaving Badly. Usually he was a comedian in a story where, this isn't a spoiler, it tells you on the back, but obviously, if I give spoilers, I'll say. So if I'm talking about the plot, then it is stuff it tells you on the back. I won't spoil it by accident. They've got a baby called Toby, and he basically dies, and then they think they can hear the ghost of him, but it's done in a sort of more psychological way. And this is one of the better ones with John Sim from Life on Mars, and I should know the name of another David Bowie song, Ashes to Ashes series. And he was in Human Traffic when he's younger, and he's basically got like schizophrenia. It's called Mirror Man. And then there's this one about like what do you call it, like a portent, would you call it, like a premonition, starring, I can't think of that guy's name now, I think he was in Coronation Street. Then there's one about like a serial killer druid kind of person, I think that's the one the woman's out of. So yeah, you got, oh yeah, so yeah, Prophecy, Toby, Mirror Man, The Man Who Didn't Believe in Ghosts, quite a good one. Number 6, they're all really interesting, but yeah, it is horror. It's a bit more sort of TV horror, but it's well made. And yeah, I don't think a lot of people know that. When I watched it as a kid, and like, you know, when you get Mandela effect, I was like, was this really real? And then I managed to get it in CEX like 10, probably more than 10 years ago. It's quite expensive, about £18 on DVD, but it was because it was hard to find. Yeah, recommend that one. Comment down below if you can remember that one airing on TV. Does it say? I think it was ITV. Doesn't really say on the back. Anyway, Dark City. A lot of people probably do know this, but this is, I think, a slept-on sci-fi film. So again, no spoilers, but the premise is the planet is controlled by this sort of, I don't know, what would you call them, like a shadow agency. And that basically at night time they shut the planet down and they sort of rearrange it all, and all the buildings change and things. And then, so it's got Rufus Sewell is like the main guy. He's one of the only people in this that can sort of break the mirage, the masquerade kind of, so everyone else goes along with it. Then you've got Kiefer Sutherland, sorry if I wasn't showing that correctly, Jennifer Connelly, William Hurt. Actually, no, Richard O'Brien's really good in it. I think he plays that sort of creepy guy on the front. Let me see if I can see who it's directed by. Alex Proyas, I think. Never really heard of him. But yeah, I recommend that if you're into your dark sci-fi films. Quite a slow burn. Felicia's Journey. So I seen this when I was a teenager. So when it says it's a mesmerising and psycho thriller, it is a kind of serial killer sort of film, but in a much more subtle vein than, say, Silence of the Lambs and Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. Reason I liked this when I was younger, it is a good film, but when I was younger, I used to have like a massive crush on show her name, Elaine Cassidy. But yeah, Bob Hoskins, really menacing, but in a subtle way. But she's basically a girl from Ireland that's come over to find her young sort of lover. I think he's like made her pregnant, and then Bob Hoskins takes her into his house. Again, no spoilers, it tells you this on the back. And then she finds some evidence that maybe he's a serial killer. But yeah, it's done in a much more sort of subtle, less kind of violent way. Yeah, I don't think that many people have heard of that. But yeah, really good. Talking of double bills, that would go really well with Hand That Rocked the Cradle. I think that's one that Sam was showing the other day, which is another good sort of psychological thriller. This is a really fun kind of monster film. So it's a bunch of people are sort of trapped in a diner, and these monsters are trying to get in to get them. Loads of action, kind of a bit like a Dusk Till Dawn kind of thing, but with these like creatures you can see on the front rather than vampires. I'll try and speed up a bit so I don't take too long. I might have to do this in 2 parts actually. Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Really good comedy horror. One of the best comedy horrors I've seen. Really clever. Again, no spoiler, but this some people are on vacation in the woods, and due to like circumstance, one of their friends, say, is fainting in a boat, and these hillbilly kind of guy, well, it's a lot nice to call him hillbilly, like backwoods kind of what do you call it, rural kind of guys, trying to give her mouth to mouth, because the people are so paranoid from a distance. They think they're like eating her face. So then they start running away. Then they start having accidents, and it all looks like it's Tucker and Dale doing it all to them, but it's not. But it's really well, clever, sort of shot in the way that it's set up. So it really looks to the teenagers that they're killing them. So Tucker and Dale are running after them, trying to tell them, no, no, we haven't killed your friends. You've got the wrong end of the stick. But as they chase them, then they'll run into a spike on a tree or something. But yeah, it's genuinely funny and well made. Living Dead at the Manchester Morgue. I think this did have another title. I can't remember what it is. I think it was like a sort of Spanish film shot in the air. But as far as zombie films go, I think it's one of the more unknown zombie films. One of the better ones, I think. Won't go too much into the plot and things. So I don't want this to go on too long. Brain Scan. This is Edward Furlong. Basically, it's like a computer game, and you can go into this virtual reality computer game, and is he called the Trickster? I think he's called Trickster. Basically comes sort of out of the computer game into real life and causes havoc. Quite a good, I'd say like a sort of teen kind of horror film, that one. Ghost Dog. So Forrest Whitaker, filmed by Jim Jarmusch. People probably do know this, but yeah, it's one of my favourite films. Basically like a sort of gangster film, but with elements of sort of samurai sort of things in it. And it's got like a soundtrack, including tracks by Wu-Tang Clan, and kind of like quite hip-hop. And he sort of lives on a roof and keeps pigeons and things. Yeah, kind of quite a slow burner, but like a modern day sort of samurai film, I would say. And you've got Little Deaths. I think this is a British one, and it's an anthology of short sort of stories. But yeah, quite sort of disturbing, quite diverse stories, different kinds of horror. It's not really supernatural. It's kind of more body horror, but yeah, I picked this up ages ago and not really seen anybody talk about it since. This one's maybe a bit more well known, but I think it is underrated in terms of, I think this is like one of Richard Gere's better films, and Laura Linney, but don't hear too many people talking about it. But it's based on urban legend in West Virginia of the Mothman. And they obviously flesh it out a bit and things, but there's a bits when he sort of rings them, and he's got this creepy voice called Indrid Cold, he calls himself, and all the people are sort of citing him, and then Richard Gere plays, does it tell me his name? John Klein, who sort of wrote the book and things and was like a paranormal researcher. Right, nearly done. You've got Brazil. Jonathan Pryce, Bob Hoskins, Robert De Niro. I'm not going to lie, filmed by Terry Gilliam, so people that are fans of Time Bandits and what's the one we mentioned earlier? Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I think are two of Terry Gilliam's better films. Would probably know this, but yeah, I watched it for a while. I genuinely wasn't sure if Robert De Niro was the character he is, because he plays like a sort of superhero that swings in through the building. He's got a moustache, and yeah, it's sort of really different role from Robert De Niro. But this is bizarre. I mean, does it show it on the back? Yeah, like the face skin stretching. It's kind of like a weird sort of Perfect Future, kind of dark comedy action. Right, last one. So this is one of the best sort of slow burn horrors I've seen, Absentia. It's a really low budget. Without giving it away, not too much happens or gets seen on the camera. It's more what's implied. Low budget, but they really make it work. And then it's got, what's his name? He's a real famous character actor. I think it's Doug. See if I can find it on there. Move it back a bit. I'm looking with my eyes, but I'm trying to let you see it through the film. Oh, so it's directed by Mike Flanagan. I didn't actually realise that. Who obviously went on to do Hell House and Oculus and things. Doug Jones, that's it. So I think he played the Abe Sapien in Hellboy. And I think he played the creature in Pan's Labyrinth. And I think he played the creature in The Shape of Water. So he's done a lot of work with Guillermo del Toro. But yeah, basically, it's just like her husband's gone missing for such a long time that they have to declare him dead in absentia. So I think if someone's been missing like 20 years, then there's a chance they could come back, but you declare them dead so you can get on with your life and things. And then again, this is not a spoiler, it tells you this on the back, but she's sort of wondering how he disappeared, and there's like a weird underpass kind of tunnel down by them that they keep finding weird things. And yeah, the story goes on from there. I wouldn't say too much, but it's done in a way that there's not really monsters on the screen. There's not too much violence. There's a few jump scares. They're more of a psychological, but if you like your slow burners like I do, then this is one of the better ones I've seen. A few of these I would like to get on Blu-ray, but I've not upgraded them. Don't know if that's really that available on Blu-ray, but yeah, I think that's quite a slept-on one. But yeah, I could do a few more parts of this. Maybe I should have split it into 2 parts, 10 minutes each, rather than a long video. Like I said, I do usually ramble on, but it's a lot to talk about with these films. So yeah, people like this film, then this video, then yeah, I've got some ideas for other. I've got some more niche ones. There's like underground sort of films that not many people know that are really low budget. I could speak about, but although they're unknown, I don't think they're underrated. I don't think some of them are great films. And then obviously films like Shawshank Redemption, Terminator 2 are the sort of the epitome of good films that are well known. So I think these are good films that people might not know, and maybe some people could pick up some recommendations from these that might give them some ideas to watch. But obviously, people have got different tastes, and not everyone might agree with me. But yeah, I've personally enjoyed all of these, rewatched them a few times, and proud to own them in my collection. Right, thank you for watching, everybody. Right, see you again. Bye.